something.
Base Bafida.
Yeah, okay.
But me, I thought it was Bafida.
Which means
look at her feet.
Oh,
no.
Oh,
you see, Stonebwoy has this special mixing effort with the song. So I thought that it was Bafida, Shafi.
You know that me and Ubeti, no, okay, I want to take Ubeti out. Some of us agree that Stonebwoy number 1, Satawale number 10.
I beg. Let us not start. Ubeti is not in.
Yeah, because of conflict of interest.
Yes, please. Let's not start.
But I mean, principal position that I have is that Stonebwoy number
Satawale number 1.
Oh, for you.
We know that life is go, and that is hard to make time for things that really count. So we won't let banking get you in your way, and that's why with Access Digital Channels, you can bank when, where, and how you want, so you can focus on what and who is important to you. Banking has never been this easy. Transfer funds into your savings account, pay your old school union dues, and your DSTV subscription, and many more with a click on your phone. Get things done simply with Access Digital Channels. Now that's Africanacity, that's ABSA. Terms and conditions apply. Visit absa.com.gh for further details. But don't miss out on this great opportunity. It's the gathering of the best in Ghana's digital ecosystem. It's the MT4D 2023, and it's absolutely free. Register now at mt4d.org to join the hundreds that have already registered for this 2-day event from today the 16th to tomorrow the 17th of March at Kempinski Hotel and the Accra Digital Center, as well as on Zoom. Join seasoned speakers from the digital ecosystem for this great 2-day event. mt4d.org is where you have to go to register now to participate virtually via Zoom or on our social media pages. For more details, call 0302 730 500 or 0501 628 999 or contact us via email at bobie@telecomschamber.org. Bobie spelled BOBBIE. But here's OneXBet, and that's a licensed bookmaker with a wide selection of sports bets. Every day, more than 3 million users worldwide access the OneXBet platform, and our clients bet on football, basketball, boxing, and many other sports. New players can count on a 300% deposit increase, and if you enter the promo code G122, the first deposit amount will increase by 30%. Winnings can be quickly withdrawn using Visa, MasterCard, Airtel Tigo Money, and Vodafone payment systems. Don't forget about the prizes. And also OneXBet regularly raffles smartphones, laptops, and cars, so sign up to find out more. OneXBet, feel like a winner. But I've been telling you this morning about the situation in Wa West Hospital. Today we're joined by our Upper West regional correspondent who'll be telling us more about the situation where the Wa West Hospital have no surgery lamps. So when they have to conduct surgery, Charlie, they have to improvise. And I'm asking you that question.
21st century.
Yes, just imagine you being a driver driving at night without headlights, without lights. Just give it a thought.
And this is surgical. In fact, the tendency that something might go wrong, even when you have the lights, when you have all the things that. In all fairness, this should not happen in the 21st century, and we cannot drum it home well enough. Yeah. It should not be something that's tolerable. That's even not, this is not South Sudan. This is the Republic of Ghana. 66 years of independence.
This is the gateway to Africa. Rafiq Salam is our Upper West regional correspondent. He's joined us. We're telling us more about that. Good morning, Rafiq.
Good morning, Winston.
Great, Rafiq. Please hold on. When we return after these messages, we'll have your report, and then you tell us more about the situation in which the hospital finds itself. We'll be right back.
We shouldn't have gone to that party.
Masa, my head is killing me. Is that your stomach?
Yes.
What did you eat?
I don't know. Get rid of your gastric problems with number 10 liver salt. Number 10 gives you quick, effective relief from nausea, indigestion, heartburns, hangovers, and hyperacidity. And with different fruity flavors such as orange and lemon, it's a pretty tasty way to end an uncomfortable situation. Number 10 liver salt from Ernest Chemist, because everyone needs a chemist.
This advert has been vetted and approved by FDA.
You know, I still haven't told my husband. I'm afraid of his reaction.
Oh, I thought you said you would try to disclose your HIV positive status to him on your birthday.
I wanted to, but never got round to it. It just did not seem like the right time to say it.
Don't you want him to go and test to know his status too?
Of course I do. I am just afraid of his reaction. I am afraid he will walk out on me and quit the marriage.
But you can't be too sure of that.
You know, the other day when he heard HIV in the news, he referred to it as a bad disease. And I know a couple of people whose partners deserted them because they tested positive for HIV.
But it is also important for him to test for HIV and start antiretroviral medication if he is HIV positive.
So what should I do now?
Why don't we ask your HIV counselor at the facility for advice? Come on, let us call her and find out how best to disclose your HIV status to your husband and also get him to test for HIV.
This message is brought to you by Ghana AIDS Commission.
Right, so welcome back and thank you very much for staying with us. So look, for almost 2 years, theatre lamps at the Wa West District Hospital is broken down. They're not functioning. And as a result, doctors at the hospital are forced to combine 2 or 3 mobile phone lights of nurses to help them perform surgeries on patients. Now, the situation, according to the medical superintendent of the Wa West District Hospital, Dr. Benjamin Ameyuri, is impeding work at the theatre and thus greatly affecting care at the hospital. Well, Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam has more in this report.
Among the plethora of challenges faced by the Wa West District Hospital is a lack of a theatre lamp. The theatre lamp for 2 years has broken down. They have made several attempts to repair it, but has not yielded the desired results. The Wa West District Hospital serves a district population of 98,901 and beyond the boundaries of the country because of the district's proximity to neighboring Burkina Faso and La Côte d'Ivoire. Medical Superintendent of the Wa West District Hospital, Dr. Benjamin Ameyuri, says the lack of a theatre lamp is greatly affecting healthcare delivery at the theatre.
Permit me to say that it's only one that we have. Ideally, we should have had an overhead one and then a standing one. But we've had a standing one for the years now, and unfortunately, that only one that we had also broke down. It's really affecting service because the lamp is the second eye for us, for both the nurses and the doctors when you are doing an operation. You have your own eyes, but when you are operating and you go into a cavity, a body cavity, you will not be able to see clearly. And it's like walking in the night without a torchlight. You would see that the movement will be difficult. In the same way, navigating our way through the surgical procedures that we do is a bit challenging, but we've had to do without them for close to 7 to 8 months now.
How is he able to perform surgeries without a theatre lamp?
There are times you would have to ask 2 or 3 people to help with their lives. Let me just give you an example. Just this Monday, we had a man who came in with a gastric perforation with peritonitis. In layman terms, a hole in the stomach. And we needed to close the hole to avoid the contents from the stomach from leaking out into the entire cavity. And I had to use 2 lights, one on one side and another on another side, phone lights, to be able to see clearly and continue with the procedure. God being so good, we're able to do it with the experiences that we've had and the commitment of the staff that we have. We are able to do, but it's really challenging because you have to strain your eyes to be able to do it. And honestly speaking, it's very challenging.
Although they have appealed to the Wa West Member of Parliament, Superintendent Retired Peter Lanchen Tubu, Wa West District Assembly, corporate organizations, and benevolent individuals to come to their aid, they are, however, looking at what they can do internally to fix the challenge.
You know, usually most of these things we start with in-house. We have looked at our own capacity and we thought of getting it by ourselves. However, it's a bit expensive. When we made the inquiries, I think it's over 30,000. The last one we got was around 35. That was even about 6 to 7 months ago, and I don't know how it will be now. So we solicited the support of the Member of Parliament for Wa West, and he made us get the bills of quantities for him, and he promised getting us one. Unfortunately, maybe we haven't gotten it yet. And also the District Assembly has been brought in the known. We are by this appealing to other external organizations who can come to our aid. This is a deprived community, and we have sacrificed to be here to offer the best that we can for the people. And even to be operating for this number of months without the lamp is a testament of the sacrifices that we are willing to go the extra mile to help, but we need support.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Watch out.
And Rafik Salam has joined us on the phone. He's still here with us. So, Rafik, you've been to the hospital. Let's understand a few things. I mean, in the report, I hear you saying, now, this hospital serves close to 100,000 people in the Wa West district and more, because you have people coming from Burkina Faso and La Côte d'Ivoire. When you went to the hospital, in your own words, tell us the situation that you saw.
The situation at the hospital is not all that good because, as you rightly mentioned, the figures in terms of population for the district is about 98,000. And this is a hospital where we have a lot of foreigners do come in because of its proximity to Burkina Faso and La Côte d'Ivoire. And so almost all the time, you have these people, these foreigners also adding up to the already huge population in the district. But this community or this district is one of the poorest in the country. Some few years ago, the Wa West district was rated among the 5 poorest in the country. And in terms of poorest in the country, and in terms of land size in the Upper West region, the district is the largest in the Upper West region. And also, in terms of population, it plays second fiddle to the Wa municipality. Okay. And then it has 226 communities. But the people are really poor. And so they depend on this health facility, at least to cater for the health needs of the people. But here is the case, deprived as the district is, so too is also poor as the district hospital. And so they are unable to raise the needed funds for this particular equipment that they really need.
So I had, Dr. Mayuri, complaining about the challenges they have to go through. Do you know, for instance, if they've had any casualties as a result of the unavailability of these theater lamps?
There haven't been any casualty. He told us in the interview that any surgery that they think they cannot do, the person or the patient is referred to the Wa Municipal Hospital or the Regional Hospital, which is over 50 kilometers away from the district capital. But there have not been any casualties. But he's saying that they have done their best because there are certain situations, emergency situations, that they cannot refer. And so what they usually do is that to do with a few equipment and also the mobile phones that they can use to operate or to have surgeries on these patients.
So in effect, people come to the hospital and are turned away, asked to go to the Wa Municipal Hospital because of the unavailability of these lamps.
Yes, in some cases, because there are certain surgeries that they cannot do because they think that is complex. And so when those things happen, they have to repair them out of the district. And, looking at the poor nature of the people. You know, when you are asking them to move away from their district capital and then also moving to the one municipality or to the regional hospital is at a higher cost. And so there are certain cases that they have to refer to the regional hospital.
And so far, even though a complaint or an appeal has been made to the Member of Parliament, he's still not reached out with the help.
Yes, they say they have appealed to benevolent organizations. They have appealed to the Member of Parliament who asked them to bring the bill of quantities. They have also appealed to the West District Assembly. The District Chief Executive, Vira Dorute, is also in the known about this particular issue. But up to now, they haven't done anything about it. And even this issue was raised at the performance review meeting of the district, and that was where the district director of health services, Madam Cecilia Kakraba, she raised that issue first. And when I got wind of it, and then we moved quickly to the district hospital to see for ourselves the situation there, and that was where we got the story.
Just a bit of, by way of emphasis, you say the DCE is also aware of this problem. The DCE, for the matter, the West District Assembly, according to Dr. Benjamin Ameyuri, he has informed the West District Assembly, and for that matter, the West District Chief Executive, Vida Dorothy, about that particular incident, what is really happening at the West District Hospital, the lack of a lamp, a theater lamp at the place. And so for now, the District Assembly is in the known about the situation of the hospital. They don't have a theater lamp. It has been malfunctioning. It's not working for close to 2 years. Wow. Rafiq Salam, thank you very much for joining us. Okay.
Thank you very much.
We're grateful. And we'll pick it up from here.
Coffee in your cup, enjoy on the set. The Sam Morning Show is always the best bet. Enjoy 99.7 FM. Morning show is always the best bet. Enjoy 99.7 FM.
Well, so that's OJ there providing a perspective to this whole conversation. The fact that people sometimes, for a very simple surgery, would have to be referred 50 kilometers away just because in the theater there is no lamp, surgical lamp to be used in the West District Hospital. Now, listening to Rafiq Salam, Raymond, the District Assembly is aware. The Member of Parliament is aware. In fact, it was actually the District Health Director who raised these concerns. Why is it so difficult for us to provide just between 30 to 35,000 for a health facility to purchase a theater lamp?
I'm going through the 2020 to 2023 composite budget for the West District Assembly, but it also has a program-based budget estimate for the 2020 West District Assembly. I am skipping to some of the things that talks about how much they've been receiving over the period. So in terms of largely what they call it, the budgetary assessment. Okay, let me just give you what has been the trend in that particular end for the budget by chart of accounts. Total goods and service, the year 2020 was 1.3 million, assets 72,000, Then when you put them together, the total budget by chart of accounts was 1.4 million. 2021 was 1.5 million. 2022 it was 1.6 million. If you ask me, and they have stipulated some of the things that they have used monies for over the period, from roads improvement and other things to, and of course there are problems with revenue collection, which they have outlined big time in this, and some district assemblies are suffering. But buying surgery lamps for a hospital is so basic that you do not need 10 years, 2 or 3 years to wait to get this thing done, or even a month. And again, I mean, you mentioned MP, and people are worried about why bring in the MP. There's a MP's portion,
common fund.
Yes, of the common fund. They take part of the money. I am expecting that if any priorities exist, instead of using it to do the things of bribing people to vote for you and all of that, you should put the money into some of these things. I'm starting from the low level because it's important that accountability started right from the lowest level. And if you belong to Wild West and you're a Ghanaian, and you have a big house in Accra, you are enjoying yourself, you drive in a V8, and I also believe that there's no business in a district chief executive or even a member of parliament having a V8 when there's no lamp in the hospital where you are from. It's unreasonable. It doesn't make sense. It's the opulence you don't display when you are sitting on such rot, and that's to me the basis of it. We can elevate it to central government level. Just yesterday, Dr. Nsiasari, Presidential Advisor on Health, was telling me all the wonderful things they are doing in one district, what do I mention one district, one factory? 111, Agenda 111. And every district is supposed to get a district hospital if none exists. This district, they don't need a new district hospital. I mean, that may come up later on. They just need a lamp. We can suspend the entire Agenda 111 and go and provide that lamp today. Or provide as many as possible for there to be people not having to incur massive loss for healthcare. Because it's important. Some people, merely because they have to travel that distance, they can't pay for it, so they end up dying. We cannot treat some people as second-class citizens in their own country. Read every single report, how it talks about inequality in Ghana. So, merely because you are born in Wild West, your chances of surviving as a Ghanaian are heavily reduced. You get my point?
Yeah.
Even the doctors, we are struggling to get them, some of them take up appointments there. Which doctor will be excited when he has to combine lamps and other people's light to actually do surgery?
Phone lights.
I
mean, he get nurses to turn on their phone lights.
So if today a nurse is angry and said, I will not do it, what happens? The lives of Ghanaians, the people that we want to protect, they are at risk merely because we are irresponsible as a state. And we don't believe in the entire devolution we have put ourselves to as a people. If we cannot provide a simple light, we have not said build any new surgery place for them all. We are not even saying that complete the hospital you say you build there. We are not saying all the projects you have listed in your composite budget, do all of them. We are saying that within that hospital, which is not even up to standard anyway, just provide light so that the people can work. This is basic demand. And basic demands do not require the entire state unless you are irresponsible, unless your priorities are very much misplaced. I was, and I'm sure people will have problems with me. Instead of spending millions of Ghanaian cedi doing things like sit match celebrations wherever we do them, please prioritize some of these things. They save lives. They protect our own people. They make them feel also that they are Ghanaians and they are not third-class citizens in their own country. So, I mean, it's disheartening. But it's not every day that government can solve every problem. But for there to be a DC, he's sitting on this case, he's not qualified to be there. He has no business being there. His office, the budgets that they have for the office, are you sure they've not, beginning of last year to this year, they've not spent 30,000? Really?
You see, Raymond, and we've been having, in the local government, circles, there's been a whole conversation about the devolution of education and health.
Yeah.
We practice kind of a deconcentration, at best delegation.
Yeah.
There's been a talk about devolution, just total transfer of power and funds to these people. Now, if you have a district assembly,
which meets,
sometimes
gives people money,
and the district assembly is aware of this problem, Raymond, and fellow Ghanaians, this is only 30 to 35,000 Ghana cedis. 30 to 35,000 Ghana cedis. Are we saying that as a people we cannot The whole Wa West District Assembly cannot purchase that. Part of the reason I agree with you when you make the point about the MP, because the whole idea of the MP's common fund is the fact that between 1993 and 1996, when some assemblies returned common fund as not having been able to spend the funds fully, the late squadron leader, Clenso, made a point, argued that because MPs are elected and they stand on platforms and make promises, they be giving a percentage of the common fund. And that is how come MPs got a share of the common fund. So you can also use yours for developmental projects. You can also use yours for developmental projects. But let's say you don't even want to do that. How on earth would a district assembly not be able to do so? Well, the good news, the exciting news is that once we started talking about it, once we played the teaser, the Edward Osei Boakye Trust Fund reached out to us saying that they are fully committed to paying for one lump. So Edward Osei Boakye Trust Fund have reached out to say they want to purchase one lump for the Wa West District Hospital. We are very grateful to you. Thank you very, very much, Edward Osei Boakye Trust Fund, for helping the people of Wa West District Hospital and the whole district assembly.
There are people who are also from the area. They are very distinguished Ghanaians. There are people who are in privileged positions in this country who will not struggle to raise the amount of money you're talking about. You see, one of the good things that when we put a lot in you through education, through privileged position and rank and fortune, the expectation is that you let that impact be felt on your people.
Exactly. And so some of you have also started reaching out to us, indicating you want to support. And so how about we put some number out that you can make contributions to. And we're saying that you can actually send your contributions to 0593 038842. That's the multimedia group, the Joy Fantastic 4. So please, if you want to help, the Wa West District Hospital and the good people of Wa West District, please send your donations to 0593 038842. 0593 038842. And that's the multimedia group Joy Fantastic 4. And I'd love to hear from all the good people from the Wa West District, including the Member of Parliament, Peter Tobu, the Speaker of Parliament.
He's from there too.
Upper West Region. He's from the Upper West Region. I know that Mr. Bagbin is concerned about some of these things. And so I know his Chief of Staff, that's the Honorable Kofi Ato. He listens to the Super Morning Show all the time. So I know that he's listening.
The day should not end. They should provide
it. So I am sending this message to the Speaker through Honorable Kofi Ato that the people of Wa West District, they need help. The Edward Osei Boakye Trust Fund has decided to purchase one. The doctor says they need two. So if the Edward Osei Boakye Trust Fund is providing one part of the problem is solved, please let's get the other part of the problem. So the number again is 059 303 8842. 0593 03 8842.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
education that achieves goals. An IELTS test from the British Council can help you own your future. For a limited time only, when you book IELTS with British Council, you will get our most popular preparation course, Road to IELTS Premium, for free. Valued at $80, Road to IELTS Premium gives you all the material you need to get a great IELTS score. Visit the British Council website today.
1xBet. Easy betting, easy winnings. 1xBet, the most reliable service to make deposits easily with high odds and numerous bonuses on the spot. Register now at 1xBet.com.gh. Use promo code BESTODDSGH. You get 300% bonus up to 3,445 Ghana cedis on your first deposit. Easy to use, easy to have a chance to win. 1xBet, reliable bookmaker. Gambling can be addictive. Bet responsibly. Not for person under 18 years. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission.
Keys. What could be simpler than a key? Who doesn't have a key? A car key, an office key, a drawer key. But there's one key that rules them all. The house key. The key to a place we call home. The key to the home where everything comes together. The key to a home that is our own. A home where we make life happen with our families and loved ones. Adoha has been working hard for over 30 years to make home ownership within reach for many. Say yes to property with Adoha. Your dream home is one call away. Your dream home is a few clicks away. Visit our Accra project, The Place, by calling 030-2789-757.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
Right, so welcome back and thank you very much for staying with us here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. So I promised you we're going to have a conversation about the Great Coalition. How we can come together as a people, as a country, to move this country to the right position. How all of us, irrespective of where we belong. And this morning, we're joined by Dr. Charles Wereko-Brobbey, who is Chief Policy Analyst of the Ghana Institute of Public Policy Options, is joining us via phone. Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah is a former Senior UN Advisor on Governance, is also joining us via phone. We'll be hearing from Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, who is Executive Director at the Institute for Democratic Governance. But first, Vodafone Business presents Too Much Business, the #1 mobile plan for business in Ghana today. With Vodafone Too Much Business, you have the best mobile plan on the market that gives your business the best value. That means you have the flexibility to choose voice, data, and SMS packages that suit your business's size and ambitions. Get more minutes for Vodafone to Vodafone calls and calls to other networks, data, and SMS in one complete mobile package. Experience free calls among your employees and roll over unused data. Now you can take business to the next level with Vodafone Too Much Business data. Send start to 0507 77 9000 or email vodafonebusiness.gh@vodafone.com to sign up now. Okay, so let's get into the conversation now. Let's start. This is all important conversation. Started with an interview that will be airing today on Upfront with Dr. Charles Wereko-Brobbey as he marked his 70th birthday. He was talking about his public life. Then he makes a proposal on having a great coalition in this country. He's with us together with Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah and Dr. Emmanuel Akwete. Good morning to all of you and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
Great. Let me start off with you, yes, Dr. Charles Wereko-Brobbey, since you're making that proposal. So tell us about the Great Coalition, what it's all about and how that can help the country's development.
Well, let's start off by defining whether we've had 66 years of independence and 32 years of a full republic. And we need to ask ourselves, when we became independent, how far have we traveled down the road of managing to manage our own affairs? I don't think we've made very much progress. And we seem to be going back. And if we're not careful, we shall become neo-colonialist colonies of the so-called developed countries. And I feel that after 30 years of independence of the Fourth Republic, and 2 terms or 2 strikes each by the 2 main political parties, what I see is happening is that this country is going nowhere. In fact, we are retrogressing. We are making no progress. So we should look at what democracy and independence actually mean to us going forward. Because I fear that if we go down the same route in less than 20 years, I mean, we'll have nothing to speak of, because all the best talents in this country would have left, and many people would have decided that, look, this is no country to put your effort into.
Okay.
And I borrowed the idea from the democratic countries. They talk about grand coalitions where there are emergencies. They come together, both sides of the political divide, or as many parties that are strongly represented, and come together and say that in this moment of crisis or emergency, let's work together. But instead of just thinking of political parties, we have in this country many civil society organizations, and I'm glad Emmanuel has joined us. And we also have many, and also BAFO, of course, and many academicians who are beginning to play active roles in national affairs. The problem we have is that we are collecting the ideas from many sources, but the political structure and the governance structure we have does not allow for us to maximize the biggest talent. I don't believe that we can replicate in our stage of our life the developed country concept of politicians making political decisions and intellectuals and CSOs commentating and looking on. We are losing a lot of our professional talent for reasons that have got to do with our inability to manage our own affairs and move forward as a nation. Many professionals would like to contribute to this country, but they don't necessarily want to be politicians. So you have a whole caliber of talent which is virtually being shut out of the political process, either because they don't want to be seen to be getting involved in national development in a public way, or if they are like CSOs and academics who are becoming more interested. People will hear what they have to say, but will never involve them in what they are doing.
Okay.
So we have become prisoners to the political class of Ghana, who themselves have become, totally partisan in their way of looking at things. They don't think Ghanaian, they think NPP or they think NDC. And so every year or we move forward, we're actually going backwards. So I feel that rather than talk about a coalition of political parties, no, we should talk about bringing all the talents Ghana has on board. We can't afford the luxury of watching the great talents of Bafo Ajumandia and my friend from sorry, your name escapes me. But we need to bring all of these things to set up a structure where the country can get into almost an autopilot situation. Then we can have political parties and political governance systems based around how we tweak the essential Ghanaian framework to suit the political ideologies that we have. Our problems are so bad that we shouldn't be talking ideologies of capitalism or socialism. We should be talking about the basic needs and how we deal with the basic needs of all Ghanaians and that. So that's why I said that, look, in the next 15 years, we know that the economic situation is going to be very, very, very dire. And I don't believe that even if JC himself or Allah came down to steer Ghana in the next few years, it's going to be very, very easy. I think that it would be an illusion for anybody to think that simply changing political parties is going to make things better.
Okay.
We have a revolving door where, two parties come and they simply insult and fight and try to outdo each other, not in the interest of Ghana, but in the interest of themselves.
So let's get a few
so we are
things.
developing a society which has moved from meritocracy to one in which only the fidelity to your political party is what gets you onto the stage.
Okay.
And so once people feel shut out, they will go.
So
part of the problem is that the constitution of the foreign republic.
Yes, Doc. Quickly, let me just get a more of a clarification from Mr. Wereko-Brobbey.
To suit the whims of one dictator. Unfortunately, every successive president has found it that they like being dictators, even if people are shouting at them. Okay. So, in a nutshell, that's what I'm saying. Let's look over the next 50 years at what Ghana's problems are going to be and what we are looking for as Ghanaians and the Ghanaian nation. I had this discussion this morning on WA, and I said to myself, if we had a professional Ghana Health Service, such that it had a chief executive who was appointed on merit and not belonging to any political party, they will actually keep the wheels of the health service going.
Okay.
Nobody ever had political debates or about the efficiency of, let's say, the National Health Service in the United Kingdom. They might talk about whether you should have more private doctors or you should have more public doctors. But the issue is that the NHIS is there. Here we argue about things like I will change petrol prices when you know that realistically, if we are going to follow the law of making sure that we price and charge according to the ebbs and flows of world markets, I don't see how any political party can go and say that I will bring petrol prices down and then Ghanaians believe them. So I think we need to rethink Ghana going forward. And then, in my view, the way to do it is that let's have a next election. Let's elect the winner become the president, but there should be a great coalition of the incumbent party, the opposition party, or the main opposition, other political parties which are viable but not toys, the civil society organizations who are great sources of ideas for this country.
Okay.
The academia who are beginning to get more involved in the national life. And we should do this for at least, in my view, 10 or 12 or 16 years.
Okay.
But with intermittent breaks every 4 years to have an election.
So let me get the views of Dr. Emmanuel Akwete and Professor Bafo Ajimandia. Let me start off with you, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete. What do you make of, this proposal of a great coalition by Dr. Charles Wereko-Brobbey?
Thank you very much. Good morning. It's an interesting idea. In fact, that is ultimately when politics develops, it goes the coalition way. Because we have different society, diverse interests, and pursued by different groups. And the point at which we find their intersections of the ideas and the leaders who are prepared to, and it's in the national interest, they come together to deliver that. And the question is whether we have that. I think what we are facing is, so I endorse the idea that at some point we can build coalition, but currently the coalition building process is considered to be consensus building. If you build consensus, the next thing is you may want to look at the best across those who have the philosophy, believe in the values and the methods and so on should come together to deliberate. I'm afraid it's an idea that we have to work together. We have to work towards in operationalizing it and in getting the framework or setting the preconditions for them to work. If you take, for instance, Germany, it's a federal state. Prime ministers of various regions are elected to work with the central government, chancellor, and the coalition, as you see. Germany has been in this for a long time. I mean, I think it's really become the standard since the Great Wall, the East and West merged. Okay, and they've grown a formidable economy, but the principles ought to be understood. That, yes, they are left and right and center, Christian and whatever parties, but they also have a culture of building consensus, agreeing on what is in the interest of the German nation and state. And they found a way of creating institutions, rules, and mechanisms, resources, and develop that culture. So in the last 30 years or so, that's what they've been doing. We, in Ghana, unfortunately, if we take the framework for governance in the last 30 years, under the 1992 Constitution, because of where we came from, the mutual suspicions and the ideological differences, which came to be the defining factors in shaping the system, we built a system that does not have elements and values of consensus building, therefore coalition formation. Why do I say that? We initially thought that if we design the executive arm of government, parties at center, local, keep them out, we would build a more unified system, state, society, nation, because parties were seen to be the culprits of divisions and polarization and partisanization. So they said keep them up at the local level where public services are delivered, where everybody lives, where security is important, jobs are important, the economy works, and so on, and bring a nation together, not ethnic and tribal, identified groups. Unfortunately, 30 years on, that is exactly the opposite is what has happened. The Fourth Republic, the constitutional framework, has encouraged the rise of partisan groups, political groups. And they are very exclusionary. They are not nation builders. They only work with themselves. And whatever they've done that would come in the name of building the nation, we know crumbles. Not only do they fail to work with a national development plan and see how important it is to transforming our economy and solving our social and development problems, they just come and they say, hey, we are not working with this. But they endorse whatever the World Bank and the IMF put on the table. So if you take the 66 years of our independence, we've been to IMF 17 times, multiply that by 3, and you see that you're getting about 51 or 54 years. We've been under receivership. It's not the leaders we elected, the parties we elected, that have governed for a greater part of the period, but international organizations who come to our rescue. And yet, this is a very rich country. Cocoa, gold, they'll tell you how extraordinary our cocoa is now. It has mercury or cyanide or whatever, and it's no longer attractive as it should be. What about gold? All over the place. And so you can go on, and the quality of the human beings, professionals in top international organizations and so on. And we've set up a system that has more or less undermined our spirit and ability to build institutions to bring this about again. So we are thinking, we are collapsing as a nation. So I fully agree with the clarion call I believe the senior citizen is making for us to realize what is happening. And if we can, put aside our political and ethnic identities and private interests over the public and come together and see whether we can salvage our nation. It's a middle-class thing. top professionals, quality professionals, quality public services, but an ideology that says it should work for Ghana. That's what Article Chapter 6 of the 1992 Constitution says. They don't recognize our ethnicities or religion and gender and so on. The citizen is who they speak, and that citizen is Ghana.
Okay.
So the institutional framework hasn't, unfortunately, contradicted this aspiration and prevented it from being delivered. So to go to that coalition, the only point that I have reservations is I do not think that we can build coalition first before we reform the institutions, particularly the executive arm of government. The civil service is broken to the extent that we run to the IMF and World Bank and other aid. Even when we said beyond aid, we were facing the worst of the situations. And in this case, it tells you that not only it's not a personnel issue, because we have Ghanaians who we brought into the country or who might even want to lead their international posts. I'm told that the IMF has been led by many Ghanaians since the 60s. Judgments and others all were there. You see, so if you look at it, what is it that we're doing that is wrong? That we cannot assemble our people? You know, Dr. Akpa, who became governor of the Bank of Ghana,
yes,
he came from the IMF in a very top position, and so on. So even if the IMF comes and so on, they've not been able to cure this problem we have of the division, exclusion, weak, partisanizing, politicizing institutions of state that should be there for everybody and professionals. The recruitment into the services, everything has been politicized so badly that instead of making us feel a nation, it's partisanized us. It is made us feel ethnic, much more than citizens, Ghana. And those who are shouting for citizenship to be strengthened are those who are saying, let's go back. The instruments that build citizenship in United Nations and build nations are institutions. Singapore is now referred to as a nation state. And what it did was, it built institutions first. Its public service is the finest in the world, amongst probably. But the Asians and the Europeans usually have strong public service institutions.
Okay.
Principles, training, competence. You're doing exams almost every year to stay in the public service, whether it's at the local or central government level. And so you know how to translate things into concrete projects and development values that impact people and feel their nation. So when you call Singapore the nation state, there are Chinese, there are Indians, there are Malaysians, and call them whatever. But there is a sense that they belong together because there's an institution that works on it. It's not a party per se. The party is one party that has been in power for a long time. Opposition parties do not have much. It's also because those who have seen the development the current government has brought into power since when? The 60s or so on. Like the system as it's operating because they get what they want, everything. Very rich country and the services delivered and so on. So we can learn from them and see that they sustain the implementation of their long-term development plans. They build institutions to get into the civil service. In Singapore, even to this day, they still train their top people. Nobody's in the civil service without the requisite qualification and gone through exams. And then exams are done almost every year or two. You must pass. If you fail, you get out. But they send them to the higher levels of learning. The Harvards, the Stanfords, and so on and so forth, Yale, and so to just update themselves on what is happening in the world.
Great.
Take our civil service. What happens there? Take our local government service. And it's so bad that you get to a point where workers are demanding, what do they call it? Neutrality allowance. But civil service is about neutrality and citizen building and nation building. And then you find out that actually what they are demanding also came from politicians. So in whose hands are we? But this is not something you can associate with one government. It is the story of the Fourth Republic.
Exactly. So, Please hold on. Let me get to Professor Bafo Ajimendia and get his thoughts on this briefly. And this one we're having a conversation about the proposal of a great coalition of all of us here in the country.
So in our constitution, the proposal for forging the great nation or unity or something lies in a formula they call build consensus.
Okay.
And we don't have the mechanisms for building consensus. We don't have that culture strongly. Consensus means I told you I was going to do something. Whether you like it or not, because I told you, it's consensus. It means you've nodded. You say, yes, so I'll go ahead. So a typical example is this. We are still talking about constitutional review. 15 years on. From 2010, we are now 2024, let's say 14 years on. 2023, 13 years on. And every day we are still talking about constitutional review. So we have a lot. But I'll tell you that even now, yesterday or today is the final day or yesterday of a constitutional conference at Gimpa. We have the IEA, we've had the CRIC, and we've had what the current government put on the table, local government, and what CSOs have advocated. If you look at the proposals on the table, we have attained consensus on some few but strategic ones that we should go forward with. But who brings this together? And if you ask me, I'll tell you that, look, the processes that CRC went through, and the CRIC 97 proposals they put on the table, met conditions for building consensus. They went throughout the country, they formulated the proposals and the articles. Unfortunately, the articles have not been made public. Maybe a few lawyers know, but the public itself doesn't know. They've gone through those processes, gone to court, gone to parliament, and so on. Yet we've left the document to rot. And if we are not careful, if we don't do anything to bring that document in a place where it's preserved as a national asset that has life beyond any parliament, and therefore, if we need further reforms in future of what can we do now and what can we take abroad forward, it is that constitution. But where is it now?
Please hold on, Dr. Kwete. I'll get back to you shortly, Dr. Kwete. Please hold on. I'll get back to you shortly. Let me just say that this morning we're joined by Dr. Charles Wereko-Brobbey, who is the Chief Policy Analyst of the Ghana Institute of Public Policy Options. Dr. Kwete is Executive Director at the Institute of Democratic Governance and IDEC, and Professor Bafo Ajimendia, former UN Senior Advisor on Governance. We're talking about the proposed great coalition by Dr. Charles Wereko-Brobbey. Let me just hear from you briefly, Professor Bafo Ajimendia.
It's the human beings involved and the culture that is so distorted that even the good things that have been done that we can move forward with, we don't see it. So at the end of the day, I think that we can salvage the situation to enable us to pursue what Mr. Wereko-Brobbey has put up. Where we are now today, coalition building without at least moving on the areas that will build some consensus. That further work needs to be done to consolidate and go through the processes of reform and implementation of the proposals and so on. Without doing those, we can't work together. Because those reforms which bring about institutional reforms will put in place the state, will restore the state to what it must be to build a nation. It is not now. And there is no even accountability. Look at Auditor General's report.
Great. So please hold on, Dr. Kwete. Let's hear from Professor Bafo Ajimendia briefly. Prof, what's your own take on this proposal?
Well, thank you, and good morning to my friend Dr. Kwete and all of you. I think it's a very interesting proposal, but of course it's not a new one. Whenever a society is in crisis, it seeks a way out, and normally in the political arena, as Manuel has been saying, you see consensus, and it may lead up to some kind of coalition formation as a way of addressing the problem. Clearly, this idea is coming, and comment by my good friend Dr. Kwete all confirm that there's something we find wrong with the way governance has been structured and practiced over the past 30 years of the Fourth Republic. Certainly, there's high level of frustration among the populace, young people and all, expressing some kinds of dissatisfaction, extreme dissatisfaction, I should say, with the slowness of our progress as a people. So I think there are precedents to that. So this idea certainly is built on the premise that things are not going well for us. And things are not going well, so we have to find a way out. By the way, history will also tell you that even at the international level, when there was a crisis, at the United Nations back in 1950, they came up with the notion of uniting for peace. When the then Soviet Union, as a veto-wielding member of the Security Council, frustrated the organization from making some resolutions on the problem or the conflict in Southeast Asia, precisely with the Koreans. And they found a way to do that. In the same way, as has been alluded to, Germany have been having coalitions after the war. And currently, as we speak, Israel has a coalition government because they could not resolve the conflict over leadership through the ballot box. So they have this provision of coalition. In our own country, the constitution has no room for that. But democracy is not what you call a shut-up kind of system. There's always a door open for you to innovate. So this idea, I think, is an excellent one. And you know what? Back in 2012, when we had the electoral crisis that I think the MPP went to court, you may recall, but I recall very vividly, Archbishop Charles Palmer Buckle, he was then the Archbishop of Accra, currently is in Cape Coast. He came with the idea of having a union government. And the late Dr. Kwabena J, who was once, I think, chairman of the NDC, made the same kind of comment that maybe it's time for us to have a union government to reconcile factions so we can have a unified approach to our development. So these ideas are there. And of course, when my good friend Dr. Charles Wereko-Brobbey was talking, he said coalition, and in fact, he alluded to a union. But of course, some people are scared of the term union government because it was introduced in a more forceful way by the late General Champon during his regime when, again, he was facing crisis. But the fact is that this constitution, even though has served us very, very well, at the same time, there are some internal contradictions that do not seem to permit us to move forward as a people. All right? And yesterday on the front page, there was of the Daily Graphic, I saw the beautiful piece by my own revered friend, Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante, making the point that we shouldn't. But of course, here I respectfully disagree with him. You see, this extreme partisanship that my good friend Dr. Akwete related to is all because this constitution provides what we call the winner takes all. And the winner takes all has led to extreme partisanship where there seems to be little agreement between the leading political parties that win power and come to govern us. And as you know, one of the biggest drawbacks has been this culture that we have developed, that if you come into government, everything done by the previous government was bad, so you won't continue it. And when you are in opposition, everything being done by the sitting government is bad, so you should not support it. And that division, for me, is what is leading to this call. So there's a way out, and I endorse it. That at least he suggested 12 to 16 years, but I will even say 20 years. You see, if we put our brains together, and there are very fine brains in this country, we can find a way to refine this idea. We can build a consensus, as he said, and work towards that coalition where elections can be conducted. And yet, once the results are known, whoever wins is going to form a coalition so that everybody, instead of the winner takes all, we then have all-inclusive approach to governance. I think that will stabilize our system. That will make programs either developed by the National NDPC, Development Commission, where we can then have a long vision towards our progress. But the way it is now, I think we are not doing well. And I think we need to change this political system. I'm not talking about overthrowing the Constitution. I think we can maintain the Constitution as we work towards this. And once it's approached and we have consensus, our representatives in government can then ratify it. In fact, that's what the United Nations did in 1950, so that they did not undermine the Charter of the UN, but they were able to legally, cleverly find a way to pass that uniting for peace that I referred to earlier. So I'm saying that, look, whilst we are not asking for the overthrow of the Constitution, there are ingenious ways we can adopt to enable the emergence of this coalition that will immediately do away with this extreme partisanship. And then we can find a way to build meritocracy. Akwete was referring to Singapore and other places. In Ghana, I think our system is supporting what we call mediocrity, because you find people appointed to certain positions with no clue of what they're supposed to do. I listened to you earlier on your program discussing the Wa Hospital, where they don't have the light for surgery, and you appeal to Ghanaians to provide something. Look, I'm sure because of the centralized system we have, there must be somebody here in Accra who has been negligent, who is very incompetent, and his incompetence is what is afflicting the people at that hospital in Wa. You see? So this whole notion of centralized system is another burden that we bear. So having a coalition, I strongly believe, will support meritocracy rather than the mediocrity that we have with us. So it's an idea that I think we need to explore, and I think all people with the brains should get together and debate this issue and try to find a way out. Otherwise, the path that we have chosen for ourselves for the past 30 years, I think is going to land us where we don't want to be. And I think the two leading parties have been tested enough. Each of them has had, how many? 16 years. In 2 years, and people have had 16 years. So for 32 years, changing parties in government have not really registered any significant progress, except this noises about, I did this, I am the one who did the road, I did more roads than you, I did more. That is completely irrelevant. The challenge we face is fundamental, and the quality is completely dependent on the outside world. And even if a government has come in to introduce some initiatives that will help to delimit it, if that government leaves power, the next one is going to say, we don't want that. Then we reverse so many years back. And I think it's hurting us, and it's about time we put our heads together to find a way out.
Great. Please hold on, all of you. Dr. Charles Wereko-Brobbey, Professor Bafo Ajibenbia, and Dr. Emmanuel Akwete. We'll take some few messages from our partners. When we return, we'll conclude our conversation on the proposal for a great coalition. We'll be right back.
Hello. We've all been there doing something dangerous to our teeth and suffering the consequences. Now, in that moment, you wish you hadn't, right? It's another episode of Time with the Dentist. I'm your dentist, Dr. Gwendolyn Amakwe Baiche, and this program is sponsored by Pepsodent in partnership with Ghana Dental Association. Today, let's talk about a few of the things that we do to our teeth and subject our mouth to that are harmful. Some of these habits have been with us for so long that they have become a part of us. But there's no habit that you cannot break if you put your mind to it. The first is smoking. Smoking cigarette. Many of you, I'm sure, are aware of the harmful effect smoking cigarettes can have on the general health. But what you also need to know is that smoking is one of the most destructive habits for your oral health. It is one of the major causes of bad breath and teeth discoloration due to the tar and nicotine present in it, and also the increased buildup of tartar and plaque that it causes. Other effects on your oral health include gum disease, which progresses faster in smokers compared to non-smokers, and we all know by now that gum disease can lead to tooth loss. Nicotine in cigarettes reduces the flow of blood to tissues of the mouth, and good blood flow is needed for healing, following surgical procedures like when you have your tooth taken out. So in effect, smoking can delay healing in the mouth. There can also be loss of density of the jawbone, inflammation of the salivary glands, which will lead to decrease in salivation. And very soon we will learn the importance of saliva to our oral health. Lastly, smokers are more at risk of developing oral cancer. To those of us who smoke, it certainly can't be an easy habit to quit. But with the necessary help, you can. Don't wait until it's too late. The second poor habit is the use of our teeth as tools. Whether opening bottles with our teeth, ripping packages, cutting fabrics, or holding objects with our teeth, you are putting yourself at risk of cracking, chipping your teeth, or even injuring your gums. Especially to our tailors and dressmakers, fisher folks, carpenters, who tend to use the teeth as tools at work. Let's do well to put a stop to the habit. Our dear mechanics who use their mouth to siphon fuel from car tanks using rubber tube. You're exposing your mouth, including your teeth, to very toxic substance, which can erode the tooth surface. Accidentally swallowing or aspirating the substance can also be very harmful to other parts of your body. The last poor habit I would like to talk about is brushing your teeth too hard, and especially with the hard bristled toothbrush. While we encourage you to brush your teeth often, please use a soft to medium bristled toothbrush, like the Pepsodent toothbrushes. These are gentle on your teeth and gums and are also able to clean hard to reach areas of the mouth. Let's stop brushing aggressively. This list is not exhaustive. There are others like crushing ice with the teeth, biting your nails, and grinding the teeth. Tooth discoloration is when the perceived color of the tooth looks deviated from normal. And what is normal? So the teeth typically are very white in very young children, off-white in adults, and whitish yellow as you age. When you use your teeth as openers, you can crack or chip your tooth. This can affect your smile. Your teeth will look unaesthetic, it could feel sensitive, and depending on how bad the chip is, you could even feel pain and eventually lose your tooth. Bad habits are not easy to break, but can be broken. Let's put in every effort to stop these poor oral habits. Remember to always brush your teeth twice daily with a fluoride toothpaste like Pepsodent, and visit the dentist regularly. Your teeth will thank you. This campaign is proudly brought to you by Pepsodent in partnership with Ghana Dental Association.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
All right, so welcome back and thank you very much for staying with us here on the Super Morning. Should be getting back to the conversation shortly about the proposed Great Coalition for our country, Ghana. And our Dr. Charles Wereko-Brobbey is the Chief Policy Analyst, Ghana Institute of Public Policy Options, GEPO, and he's been making that proposal. He says between 12 to 16 years. Professor Bafo Ajimendu is a former UN Senior Governance Advisor, and he's actually asking for 20 years. Dr. Emmanuel Akwete is Executive Director at the Institute for Democratic Governance, IDEG, also joining us, talking about starting off with consensus building and building more of meritocracy and not the mediocrity we have within our civil service space. But let me tell you about Heritage Christian College, a university set up to provide the missing link in tertiary education through conviction, character development, creativity, compassion, and community. Now, the university has since 2018 given a sum of over 300,000 Ghana cedis as startup grants to a number of its students to start their own business through Startup Challenge HCC. That Amasaman behind the Olympic Stadium and is affiliated to KNUST and accredited by GTech. Programs include BBA programs with options in accounting, marketing, human resource management, banking and finance and business information technology management, BSc Information Technology, BSc Information Security, and Bachelor of Theology professional courses. ICA, CIMG, CIHRM, ICM, and media short courses are also available. Now, here are uniqueness. There's entrepreneurship training with financial support, one student, one laptop, but terms and conditions apply. Affordable and flexible fee structure. Scholarships are also available with terms and conditions applying. Contact us on 0547 777731 or 0202298399. Dial *7 and there's a 50% tuition waiver for all April 2023 fresh students. So if you missed the January application, apply for the April intake. Heritage Christian College, a university training compassionate entrepreneurial leaders. But every time we eat food and sugars are trapped between our teeth, leading to tooth decay, gum disease, and in some cases foul breath. Now, brushing your teeth every morning and night with Pepsodent Cavity Fighter gives your teeth the protection they need, leaving you with 10 times stronger teeth. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter is fortified with pro-fluoride and micro-calcium ingredients, sealing tiny and invisible holes in your teeth. Now, this prevents cavities, keeps your mouth strong and mouth healthy. And Pepsodent Cavity Fighter gives you maximum cavity protection and 10 times stronger teeth. You know that Pepsodent is recommended by the Ghana Dental Association, and there are 2 other highly effective variants of Pepsodent on the market. Pepsodent Charcoal, made with a fine blend of activated charcoal and lemon essence. Pepsodent Charcoal White gently polishes away tooth stains and naturally restores your bright smile. Pepsodent Herbal for our herbal lovers. Try Pepsodent Herbal toothpaste formulated from carefully selected natural ingredients and uniquely blended herbs. Pepsodent Herbal releases, repairs and protects gum tissues while giving you strong teeth. You can get Pepsodent at any shop near you. Call our customer care center on toll-free 0800 2030. Always remember to brush your teeth in the morning and before you sleep. As Professor Bafo Ajimendia and Dr. Emanuel Akwete. Well, we have just about 6 minutes to wrap the conversation. 2 minutes each, starting off with you, Dr. Charles Wereko-Brobbey. You've heard from Professor Bafo Ajimendia, indicating maybe we may actually need 20 years. Dr. Akwete has talked about how there should be meritocracy. He's also asked for the structure that we currently have, and we should start with consensus building. In wrapping up, what do you say?
Yeah, I think that at least we have all agreed that we have a major problem in moving our country forward. I think Emmanuel has put the solution in the elegant framework of we need to build consensus. Bafo has added some very important context of why we need to build consensus. What I'm doing and proposing the framework that we, this country, can use to build that consensus that is necessary to foster democracy. I heard some discussion about the National Development Planning framework.
Yes.
One of the biggest difficulties with the present constitution is that by the time it's set up, its makeup is largely of politicians of a particular political persuasion. So naturally it becomes difficult when the alternatives take power for them to say, well, this development plan was not produced by us, so let's jet it in and do our own. And the same thing with, let's say, the National Commission for Civic Education, which is a great institution that should teach us our rights as citizens and how we hold government to account.
Okay.
But the way it is structured is that whoever wins the election plants people there primarily to push their own agenda or push their own ideas and not what is good for the Ghanaian.
In 2 minutes.
Yes, I want to reinforce the concept of longevity for government. I recognize that in some instances, longevity of governance has been quite negative. In Africa, Mobutu was in power for about 38 years. It was a disaster. For Biya in Cameroon today, is 40 years on the throne. It's a disaster. Into some kind of relative wealth. You find that Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew was there for about 28 years. Malaysia, Mahathir was there for about 24 years. And even South Korea, when General Park took over and stayed for 22 years, it changed South Korea. So when you have longevity, that is accompanied by discipline and meritocracy, and then that will yield to long-term planning and implementation. That's our culture. When we are together and working in the service of the nation, but not in the service of individual pockets and individual egos. And I think there's a strong case for my good friend Dr. Charles Wereko-Brobbey's point, on forming this coalition. So it's something that we need to interrogate further and find a way out. Because for me, the current path we have chosen is not going to land us anywhere.
Great. Let me hear from you, Dr. Immanuel-Akwete, finally, in 2 minutes.
Thank you. First of all, we should remember that we've built a grand coalition in Ghana before. The PNDC came together as a grand coalition, and former President Kufuor and others were in, albeit temporarily. Okay? Yeah. So, coalition building within a given political system.
Hello, Dr. Akwete.
Party, you get a certain system. It works, but it has institutional rule, meaning multi-party, led by TUC. The challenge we have is, we know how to build coalition in authoritarian regimes. But if you take the multi-party system, we do not. We haven't tried that. And the current constitution disables making that kind of coalition without reform. For example, our constitution is now, we are now all about multi-party democracy. And yet it says parties cannot be in local government. And it has, that's all the ideals that it thought would happen if we exclude parties have not happened. Dr. Charles Wereko-Brobbey's proposal, he wants it within the context of a democratic system. And he champions democratization. So that's where I'm saying as we speak now, we can build consensus over the proposals that had also led to constitutional reviews. I am saying we are ready to go forward. The conditions of consensus building and all things exist. Not the new ones that are coming up that haven't gone through the test, the nationwide involvement and all that. So let's come together, not only the two parties, the various powerful groups, come together and let us execute what we build consensus on. And then find a mechanism that will enable us preserve the work going on and keep on at a certain point, review what other problems have come up that we need to resolve. Independent institutions that no party can come and decide that this civil servant must go, this institution now appoint somebody to sit there and go. Those are the things we need to do while we need constitutional amendment.
Great. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, that's not time would allow us. Thank you very, very much. Dr. Immanuel-Akwete, who is Executive Director at the Institute of Democratic Governance, IDEG, Professor Bafo Ajimendua, a former UN Senior Advisor on Governance, and Dr. Charles Wereko-Brobbey, who is Chief Policy Analyst of the Ghana Institute of Public Policy Options. Stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hey, nowadays germs are in the air. Aren't you concerned?
On cells, a fighting chance with the maximum protection of Dettol soap. Dettol soap not only refreshes you, but it can be used for bathing and washing hands. So keep calm, get Dettol soap.
Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Dettol is endorsed by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association.
This advert is FDA approved.
Foreman, how can I say the screening be smooth, perfect, where it dey dry fast like that?
Contractor, I always dey tell you say interface self-leveling screen be the best solution. It dey dry fast, where e dey make the job neat. In fact, e pass analog. This be original digital interface self-leveling screen.
Hey babe, I hear you interface man.
999999 or visit our website at www.interfacelimited.net. Facebook Interface Limited GH. Instagram Interface.limited.
Kofi, why you make hot soup? What dey happen?
Oh Charlie, my runnings be chow. Where I for go do my motor insurance too?
Oh, Coronation Insurance has made buying insurance as easy as ABC.
Hey, how?
With Coronation Insurance, you can now buy your coronationinsuranceghana.com. You can win up to 2,000 Ghana cedis worth of fuel coupons and other amazing prices when you use those platforms.
Hey, Charlie, I forget my insurance now. Hey, Sewa, Ikamo, then text me some fuel coupons. How I go claim them?
Charlie, just visit any Shell fuel station to redeem your coupons.
It's my.coronationinsuranceghana.com. Terms and conditions apply. For further information, call or WhatsApp us on 0302 772 606.
I refrain when he pangu. And so damn in Paya, Miss me remfi papa, why am here? It's Yanika Jania Sido. I refrain when he pangu.
Always the best on Joy 99.7 FM.
All right, this is the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM, and some of you, have heeded our call for assistance for the people of Wa West District because their hospital has no surgical lamp. Well, lawyer Noela Seidu commits to paying for a theater lamp ASAP, so God bless.
Yes, earlier we told you about the Edward Oseboache Trust Fund, which is also committed to pay fully for one lamp to very distinguished service to the Republic of Ghana. And of course, there is a gentleman who works with Fidelity Bank, Ransford Nanadu Jr.
Okay.
He's already sent us 1,000 Ghana cedis, and that's other people coming up on their own and putting their monies into this project in a more meaningful way.
So we are grateful, and also to you, Ransford, who sent his money via 059 303 8842. 059 303 8842 is the multimedia group Joy Fantastic 4. And so you can support the good people of Wa and the patients. But folks, look, I've been doing some thinking and pondering lately. These days there's so much to pay for but less money to go around. Bills to be paid, flights to book, celebrations to be had. Not to talk about, that romantic dinner with the love of your life. So how about I give you a solution that really works? Imagine getting to spend up to 100,000 Ghana cedis free of charge with an offer to pay back in 50 days without paying any interest charges. Raymond, 100,000.
Without paying anything.
No, yeah, right. In the life of a king or a queen, but with a relaxed budget. Wow. What a unique addition to life's experiences and an opening to a world of possibilities. Now, don't let money stop you from doing the lovely things you've always wanted to do. The Standard Chartered credit card is accepted in over 1 million destinations across the globe. What's more, you also get unbelievable rewards every time you swipe. It's time to settle bills and not battle them. Get the Standard Chartered credit card today. Call toll free on 0800 740 100 or 0302 740 100.
A very great opportunity that you should participate in today. We are in a digital age, and this is the gathering of the best in Ghana's digital ecosystem. It's MT4D 2023, and it's absolutely free. Take note. Absolutely free. Register now at mt4d.org to join the hundreds that have already registered for this anyway, and join seasoned speakers from the digital ecosystem for this great 2-day event. Visit the website, that's mt4d.org, to register now to participate virtually via Zoom on any of the other social media pages that the institution has available. For more details, call 0302 730 500 0302 730 500 at telcomschamber.org. You certainly must participate if you want to be part of the digitalization drive.
We are all planning holiday, and you can make that journey as incredible as your destination when you treat yourself to Emirates Business Class. Your holiday starts with a glass of champagne to welcome you on board. Then you can stretch out in your spacious seat, pick something from your minibar, and recline to your favorite movies and TV shows. There's even delicious dishes from your destination with some fine wines to match. When you're ready to sleep, you can get a good rest in your fully flat bed seat. Charlie, treat yourself to business class and fly better with Emirates.
We are branching to lunch, so we need to call Lunch Avenue on 0558. Leave it right to your doorstep from Lunch Avenue. Now, with our quick and efficient service, you can now have very hot, delicious, and healthy meals from Lunch Avenue in no time. If you are located here in Accra or in Tema, now whether you're also ordering for yourself or a group or lunch is delivery is sure going to make your lunch ordering easier. Don't wait. You need to order now, and the number I gave you should keep that in. It is not only tasty, it's yummy and also healthy.
Oh, that order was fantastic. Very tasty.
Yes. The DJ came inside. But I'll order my own today.
Please do.
Yes.
But let me just say that our friends at the Alliance for Women in Media Africa, in partnership with the Canadian High Commission, Ghana presents Equity for Women in Media in House. Now, the mentoring session for early career and student journalists from 1 to 2 2:30 p.m. and then the main event from 2:40 p.m. to 5 p.m. But let me tell you about MTN, because there's good news for small to medium scale business owners, because with SME Plus you get to manage all your operational costs in communication, and this service simply allows you to choose from affordable packages and enjoy talk time to 7 p.m. Simply dial star 5060 hash to sign up today. WhatsApp or call 0244 308 111 for more information, and stay connected everywhere you go.
Now, Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, your number one supplier of quality office essentials, equipment, and furniture at affordable prices, has introduced an online store for your shopping convenience. This means you can now shop by simply logging on to kingdomstoreonline.com. In offices within reasonable time. We offer free delivery within Accra and Tematu and accept payment via Momo across all the networks available. Now, terms and conditions, however, apply at Kingdom.